So I got some good news. We're running way ahead of schedule. How's that for a conference? It's always nice, isn't it? So we're running so ahead of schedule, we're going to bring you one of the speakers early. Now, you're in for a pretty big treat if you haven't had an opportunity to, number one, meet this person. Number two, get a chance to let them pour into you and understand who they are and what they know about the business. This is truly a legend in the Medicare space. Writer, I want to say, published multiple books. I don't even know the numbers of them. Best-selling books. She currently has a book. I believe it is the 10 most costly Medicare mistakes that you cannot afford to make. But she is a phenomenal steward of the business, a great leader for women, not just women, but all of us, but definitely a great leader in the women's space out here. Phenomenal business owner. She has created, along with her brother, the Boomer Benefits brand that is absolutely staggering in size and production. And she is here to give you guys some phenomenal tips. Please give me a beautiful warm welcome. Kunkle.
Can you hear me okay? Okay. So I heard that the clicker may or may not work. Kinda. Okay. Yeah, so I'll just tell you slides as we go. Okay. So how many people in here are relatively new agents working toward your first 100K? Okay. And how many have been doing it for a while? You're at 6 figures and you're working towards 7+. Okay, so we have a really good mix. Awesome. So today I'm going to talk to you about the 3 stages of belief. Some of you may know that I am a certified life coach, and I draw from a lot of the life coaching industry whenever I give speeches so that it can be something a little different than what everybody else brings. And there are beliefs that you can have that will make you produce income. And then there's lots of sneaky little beliefs that you may not even be aware of are beliefs that can sabotage you. And so over the years, as I have applied these things in my business, I've been able to see how they affect my salespeople when they're gunning for their goals. And I often apply them then when working with independent agents like all of you. So there's a pretty easy way to make a lot of money. When people say how you're so successful at Boomer Benefits, it's not that hard. You go out and meet people, you tell them you're a Medicare expert, and you make offers to help them. All of the rest is just drama, and we all have a lot of that in building businesses like this, right? We have all of the reasons why it won't succeed. Oh, Boomer Benefits already has all the clients in the world. There's none left over for me, right? So, slide please. So I wanted to walk you through a little bit of my journey before I jump into the stages of belief so I can show you how I was able to look back on our journey and see where I had beliefs that supported where we got to today and where I didn't. So I got my license in 2004, launched the business in 2005. I was a solo producer, or I guess you could say my brother and I were solo producers together. Then we managed one employee. So 5 years in, before we hired our first employee, just him and me laying on policies, working shared leads back in the day. And then we hired one person. Then I became a manager of several. Then I became a leader of 100+, at which point we're scaling. And in August, our new space to add 175 more desks will be done. Yay. So at this point, I'm just a glorified HR manager. There's no insurance left for me to do. Okay, slide, please. So a lot of people always want to know the secret sauce. I remember looking for books. When I became an agent back in 2005, there was no Facebook. There were no Facebook groups. Nobody was speaking about how to get business. There were carrier trainings, and that was it. And I think what has been the reason for a lot of the success we have is I've always invested in my own mental health, business coaching, sales coaching, leadership coaching. I work with one of the best coaches in the world right now. I pay her over $50,000 a year to be in her program. She's phenomenal, and she talks to me in ways that nobody else would ever talk to me, and that is all about bringing awareness. So I learned this thing called the thought model, which I'm going to show you briefly. Some of you who have heard me speak before have seen this, and we're only going to touch on it briefly so that I can show you some examples as we go forward. But it helped me to see a lot of the possibility for the future, to get over my hangups about being a big business. some of the fears that I've had about that. It has helped us to set really big goals for our agency along the way. And it's also helped me to look back at the stage of my business journey and see those beliefs that I was talking about. And I'm going to show those to you there. Now, there's a lot of words on my slides. I put in a lot of words because I know that often after conferences, they'll share the slides with you. And this way you can probably get through it. You won't have to take very detailed notes, but that's why they're so wordy. And the stages of belief that we're going to talk about today are impossibility, possibility, and inevitability. Slide, please. Maybe one more. Okay. So here's how the thought model works. There are circumstances in the world that are things that we cannot control. Something your brother says to you when you're at work. People in the world are past. There was a pandemic. Nobody disputes that, right? So circumstances are always neutral. Go ahead and click for the next one here. And then there's thoughts that we have about those circumstances, and those thoughts will drive our feelings. Next. Which are emotional responses to the thoughts that we have. And when we have a feeling, that feeling drives the actions or inactions that we take every day in our business. And in the end, this is what produces your results. You can put any problem in the world into the thought model and work through it. I use this in my business every day, and I use it obsessively when I'm training my salespeople, and it works like gangbusters. If I can get them into my room and go through the model and find the thought that's causing a problem, that's where we're at. So I just want to point out to you that you might think it's the actions that you take in your business that create your results, but in fact, those actions came about because of a feeling you had, which was generated by a thought that you had about a circumstance. That's how it always works. So I'm going to give you guys a really funny example. So earlier this year, in January, I have a National Social Security Advisor certificate. I went and got that so I could answer very basic Social Security questions. But I love to go and attend the webinars and learn all about it because we get so many questions. So there was an update one day. They were giving an advisor update, and I'm logged in on Zoom, just typing away, doing my work on both sides. And then the internet kind of like did this stutter thing, and that had been happening the whole day before. And my husband and I, we were trying to get it fixed. We didn't understand what was happening. It was really annoying. So he's sitting out on the kitchen table working on his laptop, and I'm in my office. And I didn't realize that I was unmuted. And so I yelled to my husband, "There it goes again, what the fuck?" Okay. If y'all don't know, I'm from Detroit. There are F-bombs that sometimes drop out of my mouth. So that is a fact. I said it out loud, and everyone heard it. And then I looked, and I saw all the people saying, "Danielle Kunkle, unmute. We can hear you typing." It was just like all of this stuff. I was like, holy shit. So the thought that I had was, oh my God, I am so unprofessional. Like, really, we are 3 years into the pandemic in Zoom City and I haven't learned this already? And the feeling I had was mortification, embarrassment. So the action was immediately sign off, cancel myself from every Social Security meeting from now until December, hung my head in shame. And the result, of course, is that I had a lot of embarrassment, and I also didn't get to learn any more about Social Security that day. Okay, so I was thinking about this that night because it bothered me all day, and I went to bed, and I'm like, what could I think that would change me from feeling so bad about this? And the thought that I came up with is, oh, we've all done it. Now, maybe you didn't say the F word, but I'm just saying, like, we've done this before, right? We've been on Zoom. We didn't realize we're muted. I'm not the only one in the history of the world that have done it. And so I just told myself, oh, we've all done it. And that led to a feeling of amusement. And from amusement, the actions that I took is go in the next office, gather my marketing, into the office the next day, gather my marketing team around. I'm like, I'm going to tell you guys something awesome. So I tell them, they laugh, they're ringing the cowbell, they think it's fabulous. And in the end, the result was that it was fine. I'm a human person, and I make mistakes, okay? So a few days later, I went and re-signed up for all the Social Security webinars, and I didn't have to rename myself in there. I just go, and I wear my shame, like that was me, okay? So this is an example of how that works. Okay, next slide, please. So looking back at my success in the business and where we got to today, I was able to see that I always thought that I would be a millionaire. in the insurance business. In fact, I had 2 other partners when I first started the business, and I quickly bought one of them out and then the other because it was very clear we had different work ethics. And it wasn't going to work out. And a couple of months after that, one of those partners that I had partnered with called me about this brand new business model, and she was telling me something about selling electricity door to door, and it was the new multi-level marketing, and it was blah, blah, blah. She's telling me about it, and she was like, and I was like, I'm not interested. She's like, but you could totally make $1 million doing this. And I'm like, oh, well, I'm gonna make $1 million selling insurance. There's no question. Absolutely inevitable. I'm gonna do it. And I thought that right from the beginning. Now, I didn't know the thought model at that time. I'm looking back and just telling you, this is why I think we succeeded, because I never, ever thought that we wouldn't. So when you think a thought over and over and over and over, it becomes a belief. And you might think that it's true, but it is actually just a thought that you have thought multiple times. Your brain likes to prove your thoughts true. And you will have lots of thoughts about yourself when you are building a business and you have to put yourself out there in front of people. And not all of them are going to be good thoughts, but you just need to be aware of how they affect you and your success. So let's look at how you can generate some of your own income-producing beliefs. And so in the coaching industry, there is a coach that I follow, Stacey B., and she's got this presentation, so I want to give her credit, and I've kind of adapted what she put together and made it for insurance. Next slide, please. So what you have to do when you're working through the stages of belief is you have to invite your self-doubt along for the ride, okay? So instead of resisting the feeling of doubt, you just be like, okay, here we go. Nothing in the world will generate more thoughts of overwhelm, confusion, uncertainty, fear than going out and starting and becoming an entrepreneur, right? This is my brother always says when I'm complaining about something hard in our insurance business, which is usually our employees. And he's like, well, this is why we make the big bucks. Nobody said it would ever be easy. So when you have these feelings, it's fine, right? Because your brain is just trying to keep you safe. Your brain's still back there in the dark ages where if you go outside the cave, the saber-toothed tiger is going to get you, right? And so your brain will tend to tell you, maybe you shouldn't go out there and do that. You might get rejected. Maybe you don't have what it takes. Again, Boomer Benefits already wrote every senior in the world. There's nothing left for me, okay? And what I would tell you about successful people is they don't resist those feelings. Like if you're pushing a beach ball under the water, and it keeps popping back up, it's inevitable that it's gonna come up and get you again. And instead, what we do is we invite them along and we take action despite those beliefs that we have. I like to call this bring in the crazy. Girl, you wanna know, I got some crazy up in here. You try managing 100 employees, you would never believe the things that I think sometimes. But we just invite that along for the ride, right? Slide. So when we're getting to the stages of belief, awareness is the beginning of possibility. And you have to be onto yourself, right? You have to know the problem in order to come up with a solution. So if you don't know that you are sabotaging yourself with sneaky, devastating little thoughts, you will not be aware of that. And when you aren't aware that your beliefs are creating the results, you tend to blame everything else, right? Oh, it's Facebook's fault. My email list didn't work. My assistant forgot to do this. You'll have a million reasons why it's not working. Or you ride off into ambiguity land. Well, I don't know why it's working. Couldn't tell you. I'm doing all the things, but I'm just out here failing left and right. The truth is, if you are really honest with yourself and you sit down and think about what's going on in the basic little parts of your brain, those hidden parts, you are secretly saying that it's never going to happen and you believe that it is impossible. I had an agent tell me at one of the last conferences that when they asked everyone to stand up and say who has earned 6 figures in renewals, who has earned 7 figures in renewals, he didn't have an opportunity to stand up, and he was beating himself up about that. And that's because he didn't even know that he was in the stage of impossibility. It's that sneaky. So when you are in a stage of impossibility, you will show up wishy-washy in the content and the way that you speak. A great example of this is to go to the Boomer Benefits YouTube channel and scroll all the way to the bottom and look at the videos that I put on back there. People say, oh, your videos are great. I'm never going to start a YouTube channel because I'll never look that good on camera. Really? Go look at the videos from 3 or 4 years ago. I could show them to you now and we'd all have a good laugh, right? the content that I was putting out was totally affected by the belief that I had that I maybe wouldn't be this good at this YouTube thing. And I just had to keep at it, of course. But that's how your energy comes through when you're living in this state of impossibility. So awareness is the first step in eventually creating beliefs that will yield you really incredible results in the insurance business. Slide. So stage 1, impossibility. Disbelief is a stage of belief. And I can remember last year at 8% Nation, I made the offer for people to come and talk to me. At the end of the day, I told them I'd be in this place at the VIP lounge. Don't be afraid. Medicare Bob and I will be there. Come talk to us. And a couple of people came up and really confident, feeling good about their business. But most of them wanted to sit down and tell me all the reasons why they were so scared they were never going to make their business go. Here they are at this conference where there's all of this motivation going on. But what it was bringing up in them is this disbelief that they would ever be able to be as good as people up on the stage. And so how this shows up sometimes is you prioritize everything else ahead of making sales. Oh, well, I need to get those birthday cards out to all the clients that I already have on the books. Oh, you know what? I haven't gotten into QuickBooks this month to download all of my deposits and payments. I could just work on that for a little bit, right? Or maybe you have to take your kid to soccer practice. Oops, I'm not going to be able to make that call to the senior center today. So subconsciously, you are open to not doing the things. Something else comes along and you prioritize that in front of everything else because you don't want to go out there and be uncomfortable meeting new people, telling them you're a Medicare expert and making tons of offers. The other one we see is you consume content endlessly. So you're sitting there in the Facebook groups. There's like 45 of them now. And you're just sure that if you keep scrolling through there, some tip's going to come along that's going to make you a better producer. You heard me also say this at Medicare Con. Some of you go to 17 conferences a year. You're so busy going to conferences, and you justify going to 17 conferences as work. You're learning. If you just go to these all summer long, you're going to be a better producer in August. You just know it. And believe me, I'm not saying it's a problem for you to do that. If you really enjoy it, go ahead. I'm just saying just be on to yourself sometimes, right? Maybe you could pick 2 conferences like Medicare Con and Six Figure Medicare Summit. And maybe the other ones aren't that important. Because if you spend all of your time going to conferences, you aren't giving yourself any time to apply all the things that you learn, but you will justify to yourself that you are surrounding yourself with a bunch of good producers and you're going to learn from them. So of course that is work. Pick a few. You are not out there meeting seniors and making offers to help them. So I told Galen Hendricks that I would come and speak for 1 year. I didn't want to do any of the speaking circuit. She talked me into it. I said I would do it for 1 year. My year is up on August 2nd. Guess where you will not see me next year? Sorry, Christian. Okay? Because I'm going to be in my business helping my team make offers, and I focus on the things that drive money for my business. And I will always speak at NAHU events, by the way, so if you want to see me, that's where you should go. Your brain tries to get you to do what's uncomfortable, to avoid what's uncomfortable, and we're all guilty of that sometimes, right? We just do the thing that's easier than having to put ourselves out there. Slide. So self-sabotage is a very sneaky part of impossibility, and this will sneak in a lot of different ways. We tend to beat ourselves up even when we are onto our bad thoughts. And so if you find, if you find you are defensive about why you didn't go out and make sales, you'll know you're in impossibility. So if you're listening to me right now and you're going through all the reasons in your head why I'm wrong, just consider for one moment, could it be that you're engaging in things that are keeping you in impossibility? Or you'll ask yourself a ton of questions about whether you are ready. Well, I don't have my business cards yet. I haven't built a website. Maybe I don't have enough blog posts on there. I only have 2 carriers. I better go out and get some more licenses in more states, and I'm not going to be able to meet with seniors until I have that. And in fact, I'm pretty sure all the senior centers already have an agent that they're working with. And so maybe I just need to do 17 more certifications and go out and be an NSSA as well. And then when I do all of that, I'll be ready, right? It feels like you are not ready. So you justify why you are not taking the action. And the way that you will know this is that underneath, when you're guilty of this, you will feel this creeping sense of disappointment in yourself that you didn't go and do the things. So if you feel that underneath, you'll know that this is the stage you're in. So your brain goes to this place of confusion to hide, doesn't want to do out the scary things that actually drive business, and you martyr yourself in all of this action you are taking with 0 results, or not the results that you want to get. Slide. So here's what you do. What is the thought that's keeping the goal impossible for you? Take some time and think about this and really dig into your brain and find what it is that makes you feel like it's impossible for you to make 6 figures or 7 figures. There's a reason why you're here today. Obviously, we all want to be successful in this business, so all the thoughts are going to be different. But if you dig in and find what that thought is, then you can start to examine it and lead yourself into the stage of possibility. So some of the thoughts I like to ask myself when one of these things happen is, what if it's easier than I expect? What if all of these tasks were simple? And if it were, what would that look like? So a good example of this was I wrote a book, and my staff wanted me to write a book, and I had all the reasons in the world why I was not going to write that book. I resisted that for so long, and they would get frustrated, and I realized one day when I was talking to the marketing team manager that every time she came at me with this idea, I was pushing back, and I caught myself doing it, and I thought about it for a few days, trying to find the thought that was keeping me from doing this thing that my team was sure would generate a lot of business. And the thought was, the world doesn't need another Medicare book. So then, now I'm aware, and I am in the stage of impossibility, but I'm ready to move into possibility because I've identified the thought that was holding me back from allowing myself to open up to the possibility. Next slide, please. So stage 2 is possibility, and this is where you start to believe that it might be possible that you could go out and make serious money as an agent. Now, one good thing about these conferences is that I think we do come in here and we see other producers that are really successful, and we can become inspired, and it might make us think that if it's possible for them, it could be possible for you as well. In terms of writing the book, I realize I'm not going to be a Stephen King, but I thought to myself, I've written a lot of blog posts. I have a journalism and English degree. There are people out there that would rather read than watch videos. And so what I encourage you to do here is maybe you just go for a walk in the morning. I like to do this in the morning. I walk my dog for 30 minutes every morning. And I just spend time living in curiosity and possibility. So the key to possibility is curiosity. So you begin to experience curiosity instead of confusion and excuses and objections and defensiveness and overwhelm that you were feeling before. And you just open yourself up to what if? What if it were true? What if these prospects wanted to buy from me? This is one that I work with one-on-one with my salespeople all the time because they're like, they don't want to hear from me. They have 17 phone calls already. And I'm like, that's just drama, drama, drama. Let's get to what the problem is here. What kinds of things might you say to them if you believed that they were going to buy from you? Write it down. If they believed that they were going to buy from you, or you believed they were going to buy from you, what kind of things would you say in your meetings with them? And when you do this, you will start to think thoughts like clients are coming. And that will lead you to things like, well, if they're coming, where can I go out and maybe meet some of them? What could I do to put myself out there so that they would find me? And your brain will start to have these little successes because your brain, again, likes to support your thoughts and prove them true. So if it were possible that you might succeed, you might just go do something about it. And that's what I did. I just started scribbling little notes down all the time. This would be good for the book. This would be good for the book. And I had this little notebook just for the book, and I would have all of my little ideas in there, and they would come up, and I did that for months. Just little steps into possibility. Your brain begins to say, I can do something to make it more possible, and the thing that you have to do is you have to practice this. You have to practice the possibility, because often when you think it's not going to happen for me, you're not out there ready to switch to a thought like, oh, I'm absolutely going to be a millionaire tomorrow. It's too big of a leap, but you make little steps toward the idea of possibility, and then you get curious. If it were possible to make 10 sales this week, you might actually do that. So if it were possible for me to maybe write a book, eventually I got to this point where I went back through all of those notes, And I was able to put together an outline. And the more I thought about the possibility, I thought, there's probably coaches out there that help people write books. And so I went out and I found the best coach that I could find. Flew to Pennsylvania, met with him for a whole day. Helped me come up with an angle for the book that would be different because I thought the world didn't need another Medicare book. Okay, so then I created this book that comes at the topic from a different angle, sells over 1,000 copies every month because I was willing to step into possibility. Next slide, please. Then you enter into a stage of inevitability. And this is where I think I jumped so fast on becoming a millionaire in the business is I always did believe that. And so even though I had all these little things along the way that I would fail, I knew that if I would just keep working at it, days, weeks, months, years, that it was inevitable. So you just commit to the result. And it doesn't matter how long it takes you. So many of you put so much pressure on yourselves that you've got to do this by tomorrow or by next week or not month, or that everyone else in the Facebook groups are further along than you, and you're never going to have your chance. You have to commit yourself to the result no matter how long that it takes you. And then you'll begin to take inspired action from the ideas that you have, and you'll execute them, and you will repeat that and repeat that. And so what happens is your clients begin to feel that energy. Sales is all about energy. How you come at the problem, how you come at the person, absolutely is totally affected by your thoughts. One of my sales agents that I coached last week, he stopped me in the break room and said, "Can I come and meet with you in your office? I'm having a really hard time this month." And so I asked him what happened. And he's like, "Well, this morning I called back one of our leads. It was an inbound, and I've had 2 conversations with this guy already this month, and everything was going well. And when I called him today, he laughed at me and told me I'm a scammer and hung up the phone." And you could just see the defeat written all over him. And I said, "Oh, well, when he said that, what did you think?" And he said, "I thought I might be in the wrong career." Whoa. Okay, we went from one grumpy-ass senior citizen, that's what you're going with, I'm in the wrong career. That guy forgot about you 5 seconds after he hung up the phone. So what else could you have thought? And the thought we came up with was, his loss. I'm the best that he could have gotten to do this with. Okay, so I just coached him through the thought model and brought him to that place of we don't let that down our energy all day, because he's sitting there all slumped over in the break room, stuffing his face. Probably that's what I like to do too when I don't believe something and I feel defeated. His energy is sitting there talking to me was so defeated. And then he was getting on all the rest of his calls and bringing that defeat with him into those calls, and that's why he wasn't making any sales. So we just popped him right out of that, okay? Went out the next day and wrote like 3 policies. So your results will tell you whether you actually believe if your success is inevitable. You are either writing policies or you are not. And if you are not, on some level, you are believing something about this keeping you, something about yourself that's keeping you from that success. And of course, we'll always know you didn't believe if you just quit. If you keep at it, then we know that you have belief that you're going to get to that place someday. So if you do this work, you will begin to catch your sneaky little thoughts. And then you will choose not to believe the thoughts that don't serve you. So it's not about being a person who never has any negative thoughts. That's impossible. It's about being a person who doesn't believe that. So when I was thinking the world didn't need another Medicare book, well, you know what? Clearly it did, because a lot of people are buying it. I just was looking at it and thinking about it the wrong way. This stage can be really short, and the results will come quickly once you finally get onto yourself and you say, it's inevitable that I'm going to be a 6-figure producer. It's inevitable that I'm going to make $1 million a year as an insurance agent. It's inevitable that I'm going to make $10 million a year as an insurance agent. Totally believe it. Next. Oh, you're already there. So I never thought I wouldn't make millions. So what we did from an inspired place is we committed to massive action. Take out a piece of paper and write down 100 things that you could do to move your business forward tomorrow. Sometimes you won't be able to get through 100 all at once. Maybe you're going to do 20 a day. But you leave that open, and the next morning you come at it, you'll see a few new thoughts are in there because your brain was working on it overnight. And you make this huge list of all the things that you could do. And then when you have a day where a customer on the phone calls you a scammer and you feel defeated, You can rely on the list and you just go look through the list and be like, what is one thing that I feel up to today? Because I'm kind of down on myself, but there's probably one item on that list of massive action that I could actually produce today. And it's sitting there ready for you to go. That is massive action. When we engage in a new marketing campaign at Boomer Benefits, my whole team has to sit down and write 100 actions. And then we work from that action list until we get through all of them, or at least all of them until we find the one that works. So we dealt with rejection. We didn't wait for a website or a business card. Okay, you know what? That is ridiculous. I can tell you I was selling before I had any business card or website at all. I was just getting out there and meeting people. I would tell them my phone number. I had none of those things. I was just out there. So you don't need any of that. I know a lot of successful salespeople that have a very small online presence. Everybody has their different way of doing business, and all of them can work for you if you find the one that works for you. We faithfully reinvested our profits, and we focused on actions that drove real results, which is getting out there and meeting people, telling them you're a Medicare expert, and making offers. That's as simple as it is. All the rest is drama, as I said. So you have to be willing to be uncomfortable. Being willing to be uncomfortable makes you unstoppable. Do you know how many people fail to achieve their dreams because they fear discomfort? How many people stay in a bad marriage for decades, miserable, because they fear the feeling of how awkward it's going to be and having to tell everyone and disappointing people? And so they will stay in there for years trying to avoid that feeling of discomfort. If you would just accept sales is uncomfortable. Going out there and making sales, it's not for the faint of heart, but you can do it anyway. So opening yourself up to that feeling, embracing the discomfort, and moving forward anyway is what is necessary to achieve the results of your dreams. So you're going to choose thoughts that serve you. You do not need all the tech and all the social media to get started. I will say, I didn't have somebody like Sandra back in the day. Sure wish I did. I had to figure all that shit out myself. Now you guys go to conferences like this and you come away with a million ideas, and it's so awesome because there's someone that you can reach out to. You could pay money to them and they could train you and help you become a better marketer. But you don't need all that to get started, and you also don't need a million thoughts that overwhelm you. Choose 3 that you can believe, and you practice them until they become income-generating beliefs for you. Example, I have great value that I bring to my industry and to my clients. Seniors want what I have to offer. And people are out there waiting for me right now. What if you just believed that? I tell my team all this today, and so those of you that run agencies like mine, I'm sure Justin Brock and a few of you others, you have agents and then they're cranking out 60 plus apps every month. They're great. And you've got agents on here, they're struggling to get 20. And the only difference, because they want to always tell me, it's the leads. Okay, sure. Well, if that's true, then why did Jessica write 65 apps this month? She got the same leads that you did. Yes. So you have to, can you go back for a minute? That's okay. You have to believe the thoughts that will actually help you, and believing that the leads are bad gets you nowhere. So I'm always talking to my team about that too. Nobody has perfect leads. We're all looking for the source of, the leads that will, every single lead you get is an absolute close. It's impossible to find that. But what if you just believed in the things that you do have to offer and that people are out there wanting it? Okay, go ahead. I also see agents failing ahead of time by omission of action. They're going to go eat the ice cream instead of going out there and doing the things that they should be doing in their business. Because remember, thoughts create feelings, and feelings can drive actions or inactions. And so if you feel dread because you've got to go out today and knock on a bunch of doors in an industrial business park to try to get group health insurance so you can be a Medicare millionaire someday, which I did for years, I could have had a bunch of bad thoughts about that, or I could just be like, this is going to suck, and here I go. The word "and" is great when you have a negative thought. So when you think something and you catch it and it's negative and you put the word "and" after it, and what? And it doesn't matter, and I can do hard things, and I'm going to be a millionaire anyway. That's a great way to get yourself to a thought that will be moving you forward just a little bit more. You don't engage in the process of consciously creating income-producing beliefs when you're in that state of impossibility, and instead you wallow in your thoughts, like finding clients is hard, or these people don't want to buy from me. I'm afraid of bothering people. Now my brain's going to show me all of those things. I hear this all the time. I don't know how. Well, you know when you know how? After you did it. That's why you're going to go out there and try, and you're going to fail. One of these times you're going to figure out, and now you will know how. It's a defeating thought to say that you don't know how, okay? But what I want to point out is you get to decide. And so challenge every bad thought that your brain tries to serve up to you when you're having a day where you just feel like it's never going to happen in this business. So I have a standard response that I say all the time to this. In fact, my husband will be like, are you talking to yourself again? Because I will say this one to all my, when I have got plenty of negative thoughts, right? You have to break up two employees fighting in the parking lot over the space that has shade. You can have some pretty negative thoughts about the future of your business. Okay? So the thought that I say when I serve up a crappy thought in my head is, that is some bullshit. I literally say to myself, oh, that is some bullshit. I will literally catch the thought and say that to myself. I grab it out of my head and say, absolutely not. This is not the one that we're going with today. Start seeking evidence that people want to buy for you. And if that were true, wouldn't you be out there meeting new people, telling them you're a Medicare expert, and making offers? Because it's just that simple. Again, your brain is always trying to prove your thoughts true, and your brain loves a day of mediocrity. Oh, I'm just going to sit in here and do my QuickBooks today. I'm going to rewrite that blog post. I didn't like the way it sounded. I'll call in the senior centers tomorrow, or the next day, or next year. Okay? So write down the value you bring and how you can help people. Please do this exercise. Get out a sheet of paper. Maybe you have a few that you can write right now. Maybe you're going to do it later today. What is the value that you bring to the senior market? Can anybody give me a few? Yeah, knowledge, education. What else? Integrity. Awesome. I love that one. Trust. Ethics. Compassion. That's a great one. Mr. Jones is mad at you because you're the 700th caller that day. Oh man, I know exactly. Gosh, I know how that feels. I have a client, he was just telling me the other day how terrible it was that he had 48 calls that day, and man, I feel your pain. Good for you though, I'm here and now I'm gonna fix this for you. Good. Yeah, and wouldn't you use that all damn day? I'd be like, dude, I getcha. I get the same phone calls that all of you do. So if you would write down the value that you bring, hey, I'm a Medicare expert. I wrote a book on this stuff. You want a copy of it? I've been through 16 years of training. I've helped hundreds of thousands of people. I know the answer to every Medicare question that you could ever ask me. And in fact, if I don't know the answer, I'm going to find out. Like, I could just go on and list all the value. I could tell you all day long the value that I believe I bring as a producer to the senior market. I truly believe this. And the salespeople on my team who believe in the Boomer Benefits experience, which is stellar, world-class, legendary service after the sale, they are the ones that make the most sales in my office. They believe it. They will actually tell the clients why it will be such a mistake not to put their policy with us, because they will miss out on this legendary client service, which everyone wants to have. And then they write tons and tons of policies. So write down the value you bring, find how it makes you feel, and then take action from that place. How you feel comes through in the energy in the way that you're selling people, and it makes you want to go out and do all the things. And remember, it's rarely about what you are offering. It's about how you are offering it to the people that you are making offers to. From a place with good thoughts, compassion, integrity, honesty. I'm a boomer. Those are all those things that you could use to drive a better experience, and that will lead to so much money, because you create money with your thoughts. Next slide. Okay, so circumstance. Let's say you have a goal of 1 million in your business. And if you guys are, some of you that are newer, let's just say that's 100K. Just kind of picking a middle point, because all of you can make $1 million, absolutely 1,000%. Everyone in this room could do it. You can. So this is one we're going to use for today. So you have a goal of 1 million in your business, and you have a thought. It's impossible. And then from that thought, you have a feeling defeated, confused, throwing in the towel. And so then you don't try to earn it or think of ways to get there. You don't engage with clients or do the hard things, go to the senior centers and all the things that drive the business. You spend 2 hours a day in a Medicare Facebook group instead of working on your business. Anybody guilty? I'm guilty of it myself occasionally. And then you buy a bunch of trainings and you endlessly consume all of them. There's some really great producers in here who have awesome training. And it's great that you go out and buy it. But if when you finish that one, you buy another one, and you buy another one, and you buy another one, because you feel like if you just did a little bit more, then you'd be ready, the result is not possible. Not possible for me to make $1 million when I'm in that kind of state of mind. Okay, now let's look at another example. You have a goal of $1 million, and you have a thought that it's inevitable. This industry is the greatest industry for making money on the planet. It's absolutely inevitable that I can go out and make $1 million in my business. You're going to feel motivated and inspired. Now you're going to invest in learning. You're going to make cold calls to the senior centers. You're going to reinvest all your profits. You'll take a couple of Facebook courses. Maybe you'll have a coach with Sandra so that you can get really awesome at this. And you take massive action. You write 10 new blog posts, film 5 videos. You suck at your videos, and it doesn't matter. People are going to watch them anyway, and they'll probably like that you're just yourself. So it's totally possible that I will earn $1 million. That is how you use the thought model to create any goal that you want for yourself and your business and then go after it. I like to work backwards. My result is I want X. What could I do today that would help me achieve that? And what would I need to feel to take those actions? And what could I think to generate that feeling? You just go at it backwards. Next. Okay, so I'm going to wrap up here by giving you some good thoughts that you can take. You can start with these, and then I want you to make your own. So there are 10,000 people turning 65 today. I only need to meet one. If you wrote one app a day for long enough, you could make $1 million, no problem. There are Medicare beneficiaries out there looking for me right now. I'm a Medicare expert, and I can help. This is the one that I use with my salespeople a lot because they come out of training, and they're so afraid to get on the phones because they feel like they are not going to know the answer to something. And I'm like, I guarantee you know a lot more about Medicare than the people you're going to call today. People desperately need this information. It's possible that I might write a policy today. I'm creating something valuable for seniors in the world. I help Medicare beneficiaries find security. And some of you who are FMOs, I help agents make more sales. Next. Oh, Brain, you are so cute. Thanks for trying to protect me, but I'm going to go call on all the senior centers anyway. I'm a result in progress. I am willing to change my thought. My brain is so powerful that I can create any result I want. People love when I sell them things, and they want to buy from me. I am doing epic shit. Are you doing epic shit? Okay. It's pretty epic what we do. Medicare is confusing and overwhelming for them, and we come in and we make all of that simple for them. That is no small activity. You're creating and doing something really good in the world, and you deserve to call it epic. And you could say, I'm in the middle of making $1 million. Even if you're at $50,000 right now, if you believe inevitably that you're going to make $1 million, you're in the middle of that. Me and my fear are about to go out and make some serious money. I create my dreams, my money, my perfect partner, my health, my future, my ranch in Jackson Hole someday. Okay? This is all happening for me. I can do hard things. That's one that you can add to the end of anything. This is going to be so hard, but I can do hard things. Okay? Getting to $1 million, don't know if I'll ever get there, but I'm certainly going to try because I can do hard things. I have my own back. Doesn't matter if anybody else has it. Oh, life is 50-50, and I expect and embrace all of it, especially when you have a bunch of employees. I can tell you some days you're like, whoa, this is the bottom 50% right here. But tomorrow's a new day, and I can do hard things. There is not better than here. In this industry, I see a lot of people think that if they get here, that it's better, right? Money buys convenience. You get stranded somewhere, you can charter a private flight if you need to. You can take a vacation at some of the nicest places. All of those things are true, but it's not better there than here. And if you think that, please come work in my HR office for a day. It's not always better there than here. And then, of course, I always say this one. I tell my employees this all the time. Nothing's gone wrong here. Doesn't matter what happened. So we had this rumor on the sales floor recently that Boomer Benefits stopped generating their own leads and we were working shared leads. It's unbelievable where they come up with this shit. But I had to go and stamp that out and dig and investigate, figure out where it came from, because it's not true. My agents only work leads that come into my website or call our office. End of story. We don't buy any outside leads, and we never will. We've done that before. We started with those. Now this is where we are. Then I had to go and chase that all down. And every day I was just like, nothing has gone wrong here. We'll figure it out. End of the week, 3 people lost their jobs. But we figured it out, and now we're on to a new day. Now, I could be all defeated about that and say I just set myself back X number of policies because these people, I could just wallow in the fact that now I've got to hire 3 people to replace them before we even get to the next set. Or I could just be like, nothing's gone wrong here, just part of the process. Turnover, that's part of a business that's 100 people more. So marketing and selling are about energy. Which energy are you living in on the thoughts that you choose every day? What kind of energy do you bring with those thoughts? So I'm going to wrap it with just some quick hits. Just decide right now, when you wallow in indecision, you are indulging in emotions that get you nowhere. So when you're confused and you don't know how, you're just being indulgent to yourself. You have a decision, just make it. If it's the wrong one, you'll go and make a different decision after that. You're going to learn something from it. Just decide. Don't chase shiny objects. Budget more money, budget more time. Money or time, that's how you grow your business, and you're going to need more of it than you think you will. Grow your capacity to have. Some of you get out there and you start making money, and then you just go blow it all because you never had any capacity to have money before that. You need to be thinking thoughts about that I'm going to get to this place and I'm going to be wealthy and I'm going to know what I do with my money. You should have a deep friendship with other entrepreneurs. That's one of the reasons I pay for the coaching that I do, so that I can fly to a retreat a couple times a year and sit in a group of 7 other women who are 7+ figure earners and just like bask in the presence of people who know about the walk that I'm on. This is a great opportunity to do that at an event like this. Your mental health matters. You should invest in it. You should get yourself a coach. You have bad thoughts, they can work through them for you. Also, allow for B- work. I talked about this at the Tahoe Summit, and I'm almost done here. I know when lunch is coming. A lot of people will not attempt Facebook or YouTube videos, because they're so worried about how they're going to look and it's going to be unprofessional. And the world doesn't need for you to always put out your A+ work. Just get started with something. It can be a B- effort. Again, go to the bottom of that Boomer Benefits channel, look at some of the first videos that I'm in, like this ugly green wall behind me, or there's one where I'm behind me is the window onto the parking lot. Like, why did I think that was okay? But it's kind of funny to go back and see where you came from. Well, that was my B- work. And if I never did the B- work, I never would have figured out what B+ work was, and then A-, and then A+. Now we put out A+ videos, but it's because I have a teleprompter and lighting, and I have got a consultant on my clothes and my jewelry, and I've got a team that writes the scripts for me. Of course it looks A+ now, but I started with probably C- work. Those first few videos, pretty bad. That's all you need to get started. Just get out there with your B- work. And it is okay not to become a GA, an FMO, an IMO, a carrier. I am living proof of you can make millions of dollars in the insurance industry, and you do not have to go and recruit a bunch of other agents to do it for you. So I see people in the Facebook group sometimes say, I just got started. How do I get my first downline agent? What? You don't even know what you're doing yet. Okay. It's okay to leave that to the Justin Brocks and Christian Brindles of the world. Thank you. You guys can have it. Okay? So you don't have to do all of the things all of the time. Do you think if I started to be in an FMO tomorrow and I announced that, you think I could probably get 1,000 agents in my downline overnight just to be associated with the Boomer Benefits name? Sure. And I also know they're going to call me at midnight, and they're going to be on an appointment, and they're going to blow up my phone 7,000 times asking me, can you get the summary of benefits in something county in Georgia, right? They're going to complain about this. They're going to complain about that. They're going to want me to provide all of the leads. Okay? No thanks. So you could just be a producer, and you don't even have to be a giant producer. You could just write enough just for you, and if you keep at that, you easily can make 6 figures, 250,000, $500,000 with an agency that really isn't even that big. You don't have to get to the place where you take on all of the other problems of the world. So consider just being a personal producer, but do it with some thoughts that are going to support you as you go forward over time. Make sure that you examine them every day, watch out for the sneaky ones, and go out and do some epic shit. Thank you.
Give it up. Thank you. Thank you. Outstanding as always. Doesn't surprise me. She's truly impressive, isn't she? Great leader of our business. I really like what she said when she was, and obviously it was a joke, right? Boomer Benefits already has all the business. There's no more room for you. But it's easy for us to think it's saturated because look what we do. We surround ourselves with a whole bunch of Medicare producers. So it's easy to get that thought in your head. But I want to give you all just one other little tip on top of that of how you can switch that. Understand the size of the market. Between now or by the time we get to the year 2030, there's going to be almost 80 million people on Medicare. That's 80 million potential customers. Now, you're not going to get them all. Even Boomer Benefits isn't going to get them all. But you don't have to because if you want to make $1 million in annual income in the Medicare space, you need 0.005% of that whole market. You need 0.05%, and that's $1 million in income. I promise you, I did the math. So if you understand that, you're like, oh, shoot, I only need 0.05% to bang down 7 figures. Get out of the way, Boomer Benefits. I can go do that. I can get my 5/100. So.